Hello everyone, welcome to yet another video where we are going to learn how to manage day-old chicks in the brooder. In this video, I imagine that you have already cleaned and disinfected your brooder according to the standard. In case you want to get more information on how to clean and disinfect the brooder, you can look out for another video of ours that shows you how we do it properly. But now I'm imagining that the brooder is clean and disinfected. One, how do we prepare the brooder? First, we put litter. Litter is a material that we put down on the floor to cushion the chicks from the cold that might come from the floor. So we can either use wood shavings, coffee husks, rice husks, cut peppers, just to make sure that the chicks do not become cold, and it provides cushion for the chicks. Then we round off the corners, because majority of the brooders are rectangular or square in shape, so we try to put corners. We corner off the corners to make sure the corners are round. Then we close the windows and ventilators with material to avoid the heat escaping from the brooder. Now, on the day of arrival, what do? We preheat the brooder 3 hours prior to arrival of chicks. So we can provide heat using pots, we can use charcoal stove, or we can make any locally available heat source like we are showing here. So one of the key aspects is we cover the heat source and we leave just a small opening for the heat to come out slowly, because we do not want to burn these chicks. And the key issue here is if you enter a brooder and you find that yourself you are sweating or it is too hot for you, then it is definitely hot for those chicks. If you enter the brooder and you find they are so close to the heat source, then that is little heat. If they are very far away from the heat source, then that is too much heat. They are supposed to be evenly distributed in the brooder, then you can know that the heat is good. Now, when you go to pick your chicks from the supplier, what do we look out for? We look out for the quality of the chick. First and foremost, the navel should be sealed, because every time the navel is not sealed and it is wet and the intestine is coming out, that is it will be a source of infection entry. So we need a sealed navel. We need active chicks, open eyes. You remove any that is dead and check the number, count them to see that they are actual number of chicks that you paid for. Some companies give bonuses. Make sure you get that bonus as well. On arrival at the farm, you have to count as you remove the chicks from the box. Vaccinate them as you reach the farm, because sometimes, ideally, they're supposed to be vaccinated at the hatchery. But in case they are not vaccinated, then you may have to vaccinate them again. You have to vaccinate on the eye, or you can spray targeting the eyes while they are still in the boxes. So in Uganda here, on day 1, we vaccinate against Newcastle IB disease. Then you count them as you place them in the preheated brooder. Now, in the brooder, the chicks stay there for 2 hours. You allow them get used to the brooder when you've put nothing. After 2 hours, we put water. The water that we give the old chicks should be clean. You add glucose, you add vitamin. Please do not add an antibiotic in that water, because when you add an antibiotic, it will kill the vaccine, and therefore you will render your birds unvaccinated and very prone to infection or to diseases that they would have vaccinated them on day 1. Now, when we are overturning the brooder, we put stones. The reason we put stones is just to allow the beak of the chick to access water, and we don't want the chicks to become wet. So we put stones like we are showing. So you only put water enough to be drunk in one day, because every day we have to keep changing water. So you allow the chicks to drink the water and rest for 2 hours. So after those 2 hours, you then introduce feeds. Now, the feeds you are introducing, these are starter feed. You put it on flat surfaces. They can be clean paper trays, they can be plates, they can be papers, but you distribute it evenly such that all the chicks can get access to the feed. And essentially you leave them to eat, and then that is all we do on day 1. Now, one point to note is that on day 3 you have to remove those stones. You also remove the paper that you covered the litter with, and you also remove the papers you put in the ventilation to allow some aeration in the brooder, especially during the day. Thank you very much, and we meet again in the next video. Bye.